Hello, welcome to Drivecast. My name is Curtis. I'm a master Audi technician, and I want to start the days off by saying that I feel pretty jacked. These Drivecasts have motivated me in going back to the gym, and yep, it was only for one day so far, and that's okay. I think I just got to start off on consistency. I'm going to go tomorrow, and I'm going to keep going. But one day, I get to check that mark off my book. I went the first day. Now I just got to go a few more days. Second, I was listening to a Chris Williamson podcast earlier with a fella named Derek Sivers. It was very intelligent and intellectually empowering conversation. I think what I thought was most comical outside of what I actually am going to talk about today is that Mr. Derek Sivers has a very angelic voice. I think it's very soft, and I'd love to hear him read a book. It sounds a little strange, but I think the funniest thing was the fact is when he cussed, it made me laugh. I was like, this fella here does not sound like he's cussing. But outside of that, he really was inspirational for the fact that he lives his life very, very, and a word he used was stoically, and I thought that was very interesting. But after that, I wanted to let you in on a little secret and let you know that these Drivecasts here, pretty hardcore raw material. So the sun shining in my face every time, that's just me driving into the sunset, living my life driving into the sunset. Today I want to talk about a few things that I heard from that podcast specifically. One of them is keeping an open mind and how that different view on life has really helped me as a technician, and just being very open-minded and not closing people down or shutting people down when they have different views than me or different thoughts than me, and just kind of understanding where they're coming from, what they're saying, what they're doing, and learning from that. And I think learning from people who disagree with you and learning from people who do things differently, maybe think you're doing things wrong. I'm sorry, me, you. Oh, man. Holy guacamole. So I really want to touch base on just how I think that's kind of something that I've never thought about, but how I like to live my life is there's a lot of things that people don't agree with, or I think just we live in a society where if you don't believe what I say, then I don't like you. And I think that is so silly, among other things, but we'll just say silly and very close-minded. And that's just the hot topic of cancel culture, and I'm really against that, where I think it's good that we have opinions. I think it's good that we disagree, and I think it's important to discuss those things. And in relation to being a technician, I think there's a lot of things that people have said about me and the things that I do that they don't necessarily agree with. And while I believe the things I'm doing are morally right, I don't feel like I'm breaking any rules or doing wrong by anybody, or really just kind of out to get anybody. I think everything that I'm doing feels moral to me and feels ethic to me, and that's what's important. They might not agree with it, but I'd like to understand why, what their point of view is, and if I can help them understand that, or help them, or explain what I do to them to maybe encourage them to take some of the steps that I'm taking, I think that's very important. So, quick rundown is, why do we have different views on life? How do those different views affect my work as a technician? How can discussing these different views on not just life, but in the shop, affect efficiency, affect your effectiveness? How can talking about different repair procedures, different methods of efficiency help each other, and not get you to hate on the next guy? Because if you've ever been in an automotive shop, there's a lot of freaking haters out there. You're making more hours than this guy, you're selling this, you're doing this, oh, you're making all the wrong decisions, all the wrong things. People think you're a criminal, and it's all just because you're doing it differently. Especially older technicians. I think a lot of older technicians struggle the concept of new things. So personally, I've received a lot of heat over the last. I feel like now I'm an older technician. Sucks, but a lot of older technicians are really stuck in their ways, and I understand why. They've been doing it for 10 plus, 20 plus years. There's no one's going to change their mind. But if you can, as an experienced technician, master technician, open your eyes and ears to some of these new things that the young guys are doing and see the benefits of it, how it can help you, you're going to spend less time at work, make more money, and feel less stress when you leave at the end of the day, because no one in their right mind wants to spend 12, 14 hours a day at work making 8 or 10 hours of flag hours. That just sucks. So, one thing I also want to touch base on that rather confuses me when it comes to being a technician is quality checks. I saw something today. A guy did a coolant pump on a car, and he took that mother trucker straight to the car wash. Didn't clean it. That's a topic for maybe later. Didn't test drive it. Didn't even drive around the parking lot, bring it back in to check it. I think that is one of the dumbest things you can absolutely do. I mean, going on a huge humongo test drive is not fun for anyone, but going on a 5-mile, 10-mile test drive when you're replacing an important part of the engine, like the coolant pump, let alone all the other things that I've seen, is just dumb. I'm just going to be straight. That's dumb. You're dumb for doing that. So that kind of comes back to what my next topic of discussion is getting, or kind of pushes me into the next topic of take pride in your work. From so many things. Take pride in your work. Because if you're just there sloppily working on cars, not checking anything, not cleaning anything, not giving your time and effort into anything, and you're not taking pride in what you do, you're going to be less efficient. You're not going to want to do those things. You're not going to want to improve your process. So quality check your freaking cars, man. That's dumb. Quality check, if your wheels are coming off, do a quick test drive. You don't want that wheel coming off on the customer. The brakes, go test drive to make sure the brakes are stopped. Make sure you didn't leave a brake line loose. Coolant leak, oil leak, suspension work. Make sure you didn't leave a bolt loose. Accidents happen. We all make accidents. It's about how do you catch those accidents before the customer gets that car back. Those surveys, those managers hear about it, you're just signing yourself up for problems. And when it comes to quality checking, one thing that I do on every car is I try to clean the engine bay, whether that's pressure washing or wiping it down, wiping up the reservoir bottles, or cleaning the engine cover. A group leader of mine, who's a shop foreman now at Toyota, told me one thing. I don't know if it's the most important thing that he ever taught me, but it is up there on the things that are important. Let's say you pull a car in for a rattle, and all you're doing is a rattle. You pop the hood, top the fluids off. All right, you're doing your video inspection, because you better be doing some freaking video inspections. You're doing your video inspection. All right, customer sees a dirty hood, tell them top off fluids, check your tires. This is what your concern is. I fixed it. I'm not, parts on order, whatever the thing is. Okay, so let's say they go down the road, and for whatever reason, their oil light comes on. If you didn't top it off, maybe their oil light comes on. They pop the hood, and they see fingerprints all over their engine bay. They see just a messy engine bay. Leaves, because people park under trees, leaves, all that stuff. It looks dirty. It doesn't look like anyone was in there talking about their engine bay. It doesn't look like anyone topped off their fluids. The interpretation of bringing their car is, man, my engine bay's dirty. I know they didn't come in for an engine-related concern, but clean the engine bay. It makes it look like you did something. It makes it look like you did a lot more than you really did. Who doesn't like a clean car? You didn't clean the inside. Maybe the car wash will if you have one of those, but wash the engine bay down. Give it that extra, just spick and span, let's go. Give it, clean it good. Spray it with some degreaser. Wipe the bottles down. Clean it up. Especially if you're in there doing engine work, doing an oil change. The last thing you need to do is customer wants to check their oil. Some people like to see what you did. And there's oil split all over the place, fingerprints, handprints, loose engine cover, loose air filter box. All freaking coolant caps not on or not topped off. Those are all things you need to be doing in your quality check process. If you're not doing those, we need to be having a different discussion. But clean the engine bay. Be proud of what you did. Show the customer and everyone else that opens that hood that you cared about what you just did to that car, even if it's not engine related. Come on. And clean it up. If I'm doing a big repair, if a customer is spending thousands and thousands of dollars, working at Audi, if it's CP, the customer's spending over $1,000 on most repairs. It's just unfortunately the way it is. Audis are expensive. I worked on a car today that the customer spent like 10 grand on a repair. And I'm just like thinking about somebody that would do a coolant pump, not the same repair, but a different one. And they're not even cleaning the engine bay. They're not even quality checking it. Like, they're just neglecting that customer and neglecting that car. So I did my $10,000 repair, and I'm like getting in there. I'm trying to clean the whole engine bay, make sure the fluid caps are clean, make sure the leaves are gone. Shoot, sometimes I'll even clean the inside of the windshield. Car wash doesn't do that where I'm at. So I'm making sure the customer is getting the bang for their buck. I want them to remember that Curtis worked on their car. I want them to know I was in there doing something. I cleaned a car so good one time. The customer he went out of his way to tell the manager and the service writer, I have never seen my engine this clean. Even when I bought the car, I didn't feel like it was this clean. I'm like, you don't financially get any gains for that, but shit, that is a boost of confidence you can't get from anywhere else. Clean the engine bays, check your cars, and if you're not, shame on you, because that's dumb. You shouldn't be here listening to me talk if you can't quality check your cars and clean up after yourself. Be proud of your work. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to make you feel more positive about the work you're doing, and it's going to make you feel a lot happier about it. And then all that stuff leads to more efficiency. If you're happy, you're making more money. If you're making more money, you're happy. It's a vicious circle, and we all should be following it. All right. I wrote a little note down here because I knew I was going to forget. And all right, so when it comes to learning new processes, as I talked about old guys and old technicians learning new tricks, and that goes for new technicians taught old or bad tricks. Like, you have to push through your bad habits. You have to consciously know and try these things that we'll be talking about or I've talked about. And you've got to want to go and do them. You've got to push through those habits. We all have had or have bad habits. If it's not related to your work, it's related to something else. Chewing your fingernails, biting your lip, pulling your hair. Those are things I've done. Those are all non-car related things. I made some pretty poor decisions at Toyota when it comes to things I did while working on cars. And I'm glad I learned from those. Now, this guy is changing lanes right on top of me. Thank you, sir. I just want, if I can relay anything, is find a role model. Find someone a master technician that either makes a lot of hours or has extremely high quality, a shop foreman, a group leader, somebody, and learn from them. Don't be doing that shady stuff. I know it's a temptation. You want to make a lot of money. You want to cut as many corners as possible. I've made those decisions, not made those decisions. Don't be shady. Do the right thing. It'll turn out for you best in the long run. You'll learn more. You won't be putting yourself on a line. You'll be happier in the end. You won't have any ethical or moral like thoughts in the back of your head. Oh man, did I, do this right, do that wrong? Should I have done it? Should I not have? Anyway, what I'm saying is push through those bad habits. Find a way to do the right thing, to make sure that as a technician and a mechanic that you're giving a customer every reason to believe that you're doing absolutely the right thing. You're showing them absolutely the right thing. You're fixing what you say you're fixing. You're cleaning up their car. You're making it look nice. Leave what Smokey the Bear used to say about camping. Leave it better than when you got there, or something like that. I don't know what the saying goes, but leave it in better shape than when you got there. Clean it up. Make it look good. Especially if they're spending a lot of money. Just go the extra mile. Go the extra few steps to just give that customer a piece of, sound weird, give the customer a piece of what you have to give them. You're building a sort of a relationship, a connection with that car. That car will always have a connection to you. Got sidetracked, but pushing through those habits, pushing through those bad habits, you want to challenge those bad habits, and you want to challenge new habits. You want to challenge things that I'm telling you. You want to challenge things that you've heard. And by challenging those, you're expanding not only what you can learn, but what's right, what's wrong, and how you can build an efficient process for you. Totally lost it. I'm lost on that one. Challenge it. Okay, challenge it. So we're challenging our thoughts. We're challenging our habits. We're challenging the procedures and processes that we're learning. I just saw the weirdest thing. Anyway, okay, so if you find a good mentor, even challenge what your mentor's telling you. If you're being creative in your repairs, if you're being creative in your process, you're keeping an open mind, and you're always thinking of what ways can this be done better, you'll be able to build a super efficient process for yourself. I have a weird story to tell you about keeping an open mind. And I think it's funny, but it's also a very important a lesson to be learned. I have a good friend of mine, probably one of my best friends. He's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I think that's kind of cool to an extent. I think some of the things that he talks about are quite freaking strange, but I think some of them are quite interesting. But I've always asked him, why does he think that? Why does he feel that way? And the craziest thing I heard is that he 150% believes that the earth is flat. Now, I love the guy, but I definitely had to take a step back and be like, okay, why? Why do you think the earth is flat, sir? And he showed me a bunch of videos and information and stuff, and I watched a few of them. I think I got lost a little bit after some of the videos. It's a little kooky, but I showed interest, and I think I learned that there is a lot more opinions on how the world was formed, how the world operates. I saw a diagram of flat Earth, and I was like, whoa, I didn't imagine the Earth to be donut shaped, but hey, here we are. All right. So the lesson I learned was just, that sounds crazy. Who has ever learned that the Earth is flat? You gotta just have seen or heard something quite different to believe that. And the moral of that story is just keep an open mind. Oh, see those police officers. But keep an open mind. It could be your best friend, could be your worst enemy, could be whatever. And show curiosity. If you're invested and you're actually interested in what they're saying, no matter the relationship to you, you might learn something. I learned something, but do I believe that? No, I don't believe it, but I learned some things, and I don't know if they're going to apply to me being a better technician, but that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is just keep an open mind. I want you to challenge yourself. I also heard something about setting goals, which I've touched base on several occasions so far. But like, set a challenging goal for yourself. One that, like, you know, write down 10 goals. Out of those 10 goals, find one of those goals that really stands out to you. One of those goals is going to just pop out. What is something that you really want to achieve over the next week, over the next month? We'll keep it short term. Pick one. Man, I can't wait to make more hours than this Bob guy next to me, this stinky Bob guy next to me, always making these hours, always doing the gravy. I want to make more hours than Bob this month. All right, you've never been able to make more hours than Bob, so pick that goal. We're going to make more hours than Bob this month. That's our goal. You're going to challenge that goal, and you're going to do everything in your power. If you have to work crazy hours, if you have to, come in early, stay late, if you have to spend extra time typing your quotes or writing your quotes down to the customers, if you have to spend extra time taking pictures for the customers, like, challenge yourself on a goal. And let's achieve that goal. By achieving that goal, what you need to do is you got to take the first step in getting there and realizing, what do you need to do to flag more hours than Bob? Are you coming in early? Are you staying late? Are you on your phone all day? If you go and you work on those 3 things, I guarantee you're going to flag more hours than Bob, because we're all victim of being on our phone too much. So the message I leave for you today as I approach headquarters for the evening is challenge yourself, not just in this silly goal thing that I just started, but challenge yourself in keeping an open mind. It's going to help you be a better technician. It's going to help you be a better person, and keep an open mind when you're doing it. Like that, I guess that's the point of challenging. But keep an open mind and just really try to learn from the things that you disagree with or that you don't like someone's opinion on. Don't just shoot them down and call them names and all this other crazy stuff. Like, learn from those people, because you never know what you're going to find out. You're going to learn something about yourself. You might learn something about them. You might learn something that you don't want to ever do that they're doing. Or you'd be like, oh man, I don't really like the guy, but he's doing this and I like that. So keep an open mind and, just learn to love more people. We don't need to be so angry with each other. We don't need to be so hateful with each other. We don't leave no nasty comments or nasty, things about people. There's plenty of people I don't like. But I try my hardest not to be mean about it. I try not to be... They have feelings too. Everyone has feelings, and I think there's so many people these days that just disregard all the feelings. They're just like, I'm going to say this mean thing. But, like, you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what they're doing or, like, their intentions. You don't know why they're saying the things they're saying or doing the things they're doing. Especially if you don't like them. You're not talking to them every day. So keep an open mind, and I can see you guys on the next Drivecast. Over and out.